I went through a traumatic event about 10 years ago, and it was something that affected my life so much that I got to the lowest point I'd ever been in, and I was pretty much suicidal. There was a person at my house that saw me upset and introduced me to methamphetamine that day. I felt nothing after that. It was just a numbing of it, and I thought that it was the best thing in the world because it literally just healed me. I felt like it had healed me. I had this home in Colleyville. My kids were at Colleyville Heritage Schools. They were, had the best of everything. We had a beautiful home. And then within a couple of years, we were living without water, electricity at times. There were 10 people living in my house.
Heartbreaking because she had those children. She lived in a beautiful home. She had everything, and she lost it all.
I was arrested, I think maybe 28 times in Colleyville. I lost my two youngest children. My little girl wrote me a letter in there to say goodbye to me, and she said in the letter that she knew God had a plan and that I was going to get through this and that we were going to be together again and that she would never change her last name. February 28th of 2017, a friend of mine that I used to get high with came to my house, and we were sitting on my couch, and she said, "Michelle, you think we're going to still be getting high when we're 60? And I go, "I don't know." I said, I've got to quit. So I got to quit or I'm never going to see my children again. And I took the pipe out of her hand and I set it on the table and I said, "Watch." I go, "I'll never pick that up again." And I got up from the couch and I went in my bedroom and I laid on my bed and I didn't move for 2 weeks.
Yeah, 2 weeks. That 2 weeks was a absolute blessing. She stopped and she just didn't, and you just hoped that it was gonna last. And it did.
When you get sober, everything that you started getting high for is there, and you have to deal with it. I got sober February 28th, 2017. I got evicted, I think it was April 13th. That's where Goodwill comes in. I was homeless. I had no home anymore. All my belongings were in a U-Haul in Azle. I was staying at the Presbyterian Night Shelter right across from the True Worth Clinic. And I would stay there, or my mom would let me stay sometimes, a couple nights. I was sober and determined. I would go over there and I'd take every class. Goodwill has an office there at True Worth, and they had a guy there. His name was Tim. I'd knock on his door. I'm like, Tim, like, what class can I take? What can I do? He would tell me all these job things, and they were 5 in the morning. I had to be picked up by a van. They'd pick us up, and they were paying $7 an hour. I would line up for that van. I would get on that van, and I would go work cleaning up construction site. I just immersed myself in everything that he had to offer. So a friend of mine had introduced me to Mandy, and Mandy worked at Goodwill Staffing Services.
Goodwill Staffing Services is a full-service temp staffing agency, breaking down barriers with people entering the workforce. It's something that that Jennifer and I do on a daily basis.
I would call her all the time. I would ask her, "Is anything come up?"
Michelle is an extremely hard worker. She's dedicated and meticulous, and she puts her heart into everything that she does.
I waited 4 years before there was an opening at TxDOT. I was working 3 and 4 jobs at a time. Finally, Mandy called me and said that they needed a temp and be like a receptionist or something. And she said, "And if you do it, it'll be a good way for you to get your foot in the door." A few months after that, if an opening finally came with TxDOT. And so she said, "Well, I can get your resume submitted, but it's up to you to get the job." I love my job at TxDOT because they want the best for you. They want you to excel. They want you to do better. And I really love that.
She's involved with community, with people who might need help. She helps everybody.
It was super cool. Just seeing her just be her again.
Goodwill has helped give us our mom back.
The one piece of advice I would give somebody who was struggling with addiction, you have to forgive yourself for the mistakes that you've made, because if you don't forgive yourself, you cannot rise above it. I'm thankful for Goodwill because they literally gave me my life back.